This light, it's beautiful, isn't it? Makes everything feel so peaceful, almost sacred in a way.
It really is. Moments like this, when everything's quiet, I often find my mind wandering to bigger questions. Funny, I was just thinking about a documentary I watched last night, and it touched on the historical Jesus.
Oh, really? It's fascinating, isn't it? How one man from so long ago can still occupy so much thought and space in the world. What struck you about it?
Just the sheer audacity of his claims, I suppose. And yet, the simplicity of his core teachings. Love your neighbor as yourself. It sounds so straightforward, but living it out, that's another story entirely.
You're right. It's a lifetime's work, that one. For me, that's one of the most compelling things about him. His teachings weren't just abstract philosophy, they were intensely practical, meant to be lived. When I first really encountered his words, not just as stories, but as invitations, it changed how I saw everything.
Invitations? I like that. How so? For me, it's sometimes a struggle to reconcile the historical figure with the figure of faith.
Well, take forgiveness, for example. The idea of forgiving not just 7 times, but 70 times 7. Before, I'd hold on to grudges, thinking I was justified. But his example, his teaching on it, it showed me that forgiveness is more for the forgiver than the forgiven. It's a release. It impacted my relationships, my peace of mind.
That resonates. I've definitely found that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. But it's hard. What about faith itself? Believing in someone you can't see who lived 2 millennia ago. How does that work for you in a practical day-to-day sense?
Pauses, thoughtfully kicking a loose pebble. For me, faith isn't about having all the answers or a blind leap. It's more like a trust built on experience. I see the coherence in his teachings, the way they address the deepest human needs for meaning, for love, for redemption. And then there are those moments, like this quiet walk, or when I'm genuinely trying to live out that love he spoke of, where I feel a connection, a sense that it's not just an old story.
A connection. I think I understand what you mean. Even if I read the Sermon on the Mount, for instance, there's a profound wisdom there that feels timeless. Blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are the merciful. Those aren't just nice platitudes, they feel like fundamental truths about how to build a better world, a better self.
Exactly. And consider his impact. Beyond individuals, think about how his teachings have, at their best, inspired movements for justice, compassion, care for the poor and marginalized. Of course, people have also done terrible things in his name, which is a tragedy and a distortion.
That's always been a sticking point for me, the hypocrisy that sometimes surrounds religion. But then I try to separate the institution or the flawed followers from the person of Jesus himself. What do you think his relevance is today in our hyper-connected, often cynical modern world?
I think he's more relevant than ever. In a world that often values power, wealth, and self-promotion, his message of humility, service, and sacrificial love is radically countercultural. Think about the divisions we see, the anger online. His call to love even our enemies, to seek reconciliation, it's a balm we desperately need.
Looks up at the sky, where the first stars are beginning to peek through the deepening blue. Sacrificial love, that's a big one. The idea that he would die for humanity, for people he'd never met, for people who would reject him, it's overwhelming to contemplate. That level of forgiveness, that ultimate act of love, is hard to grasp.
It is. And I don't claim to fully grasp it all the time, but the offer of it, the grace, it's central to my understanding of him. That no matter how far we stray or what mistakes we make, there's a path back, a forgiveness offered freely. That's profoundly hopeful.
Hopeful. Yes, that's a good word. Even when I have my doubts or questions, the figure of Jesus, his life and words, they do offer a kind of hope, a standard to aspire to, perhaps, a reminder that there's more to life than just what we see on the surface.
Well said. And I think that continuing to ask those questions, to wrestle with these ideas, is part of the journey. He never seemed to shy away from honest questions.
They walk in comfortable silence for a few moments, the path ahead now bathed in the soft glow of twilight. The chirping of the birds has quieted, replaced by the gentle rustle of leaves in the evening breeze.
It's been good talking about this, you know? It's not often you can have a conversation like this, so openly.
I agree.